I'm not going to read it to you, but I will talk a little bit about the points I made earlier. We're kind of starting to wrap up here, and one of the questions that you might be thinking about as you're leaving and going back to actually run your business is, who are the types of people that are going to actually help me do these things? And there are a couple of things that you should think about in addition to what we talked about before. Number one is, when you think about entrusting someone to help you with this aspect of your business, can they explain it to you in human understandable English? Another takeaway, Troy asked you to take the social media takeaway. Another takeaway I'd ask you to take from this event is, how many techno-jargon, buzzwords, and acronyms did you hear today? I showed you a picture on the screen of the Pepsi Center and talked to you about how you can find the real people who are there and target messages to their phone. There are a lot of people out there in the world who would come to you really excited, wanting to talk to you about a hyper-targeted, geo-fenced mobile targeting campaign. That's what that is. But the only reason, that's what they call it, the only reason they throw out these really fancy buzzwords and acronyms at you is because they're trying to hide the fact that they don't actually know what they're talking about. Another thing that you really ought to ask anyone who's suggesting that they can help you with this is, can they help you with all of it? Because all of these are things that you need to at least understand and think about in the context of your business. You may not need to do or want to do all of these things, but you should be able to understand all of them. You should be able to have a conversation with someone who will sit down in the room with you and explain all of them and talk about which of them makes sense. And that person should be able to help you with whichever of them are right for your business. And you'd be surprised how rare that combination actually is. The last thing that they should absolutely 100% be able to do at the start of a conversation is they should be able to tell you how you're doing. You may not know. You might think you know. Well, guess who knows? Google knows. Now, we've told you, I hope repeatedly, I hope you left your checkbooks at home. We don't want them today. There's no obligation for this. There will be no obligation for the next meeting that you might choose to schedule as well. And if you did, if you wanted to sit down and talk about how does this all apply to your business, we would start it by talking to you about how you're doing. And we wouldn't tell you what we think, we'd tell you what Google thinks. And we'd start using a little application that will give you a score. This Cloverdale Playhouse got a score of a 53. You can think of that score kind of like the score on a high school biology test. Is it 53? Not so good. But it's not just going to tell you what the score is, it's going to explain to you what that means. Why do you get a 53? Well, this business, I know it's a little hard to see here, but basically you got green check marks, you can probably guess me, good, red X's, bad, and little red triangles with an exclamation point. That's sort of danger, not quite so good. Well, their website, working on a phone. That's a problem. We talked about that. That dings their score a little bit. We talked about those directories and being listed and claimed in those directories. Ooh, lots of red X's. That probably means that this business will be hard to find online. So when you run a bunch of Google searches about this business, 100% of the time, incorrect information about that business comes up. It doesn't mean that every piece of information is wrong. It means that the data is so different that every time someone searches for this business, something on that screen is wrong, which is going to lead to people being confused, going to the wrong place, calling the wrong phone numbers, and it's going to lead to Google not showing this business. Well, all right. This business has no reputation online. That's no good. SEO on their website, not so great. Starting to see where these guys have a bit of a problem, right? And you can start to see exactly where that problem is. And then you can compare them to the competition. So, well, one of their competitors has a 58, one of them has a 67. It may very well be that we put your business into this application and you get a 53 and one of your competitors gets an 80. Or it may be that both of your competitors also have a 53. And imagine the opportunity for you if yours was the business that had an 80. And if you did want to schedule a conversation with anybody here in the room, this is how we're going to start it. We're going to take you through how your business is doing online. We're going to talk to you about the red X's and the green check marks. Have a conversation about what it might mean for your business to turn some of those red check marks into, or red X's into green check marks. Make sure we understand and agree what those things might be and how they might help your business. And that's it. Again, no obligation. Leave your checkbook at home only if you want to. after the end of that conversation, would we even consider coming back to you later and saying, hey, would you like it if we came back a week from now with a presentation on how we can turn those red X's into green check marks, what it might mean for your business, how long it might take, and what it might cost? If you want us to, we'd be happy to. But if not, we're happy to have this first meeting anyway. And if that's something interesting to you, our friend Chris will come back up and tell you how there are a few ways here that you can make that happen.